Favorite places, Harry. And he, of course, is the man who dominates the local airwaves in Houston every single day. And, of course, he's everywhere. He is the great Sean Salisbury. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good, my man. Thank you. I haven't been to a drive-through strip club, but hopefully they have medium rare roast beef as their meal when I drive through.
Well, they usually have that. It's only for the lunch crowd, though. No, because there was everybody's trying to do these ways, Sean, to get through. You can't have a restaurant if you don't serve food. You can't have anybody come in just for drinks if you have a bar.
Right.
You have to have food. And there was this one couple, two guys that ran a bar up in New York State because they're really restrictive up there. They started serving like chips, some sort of, I don't know what it was made out of.
Potato chips.
Potato chips, but they were homemade, so they counted those as food, and they called them like buffalo chips, even though they were just potato chips, to try to skirt it. But there's a strip club in Houston that was doing the drive-through strip clubs, but then they shut that down because they didn't serve food.
Right. Well, I guess you didn't serve food. I guess you could argue that some of it is.
I just handed the guy a bag of chips for $5. Right. I got a little.
Yeah.
I got one of those little the little champagne bottles at the chicks.
Right.
Hey, can you get me some champagne? They bring you that little split.
And
then they charge you $25 for a $2 bottle of champagne.
Right.
Hey, fellas, my favorite though, not that I've ever been to a strip club, but here's what they tell me. Here's what they tell me. Is that you go in there, and I've always tried to spit, hey, there's great brunch here. They serve the grass roast beef and the rest of it. But there's nothing more unappealing than possibly medium rare roast beef and while you're sitting at the table with a lap. The timing of it seems odd, right? Maybe give me some Sara Lee pound cake as opposed to that.
Well, as you know, and people are pointing that out on the Twitch stream, I know that. I've been to Houston a million times. Yep. There's no shortage of gentlemen's clubs in the greater Houston area.
They are, I could throw a rock and hit a handful of them within, and my arm's about shot. You're right, but I can still see them. So, it's good to be on with you guys. I haven't done the drive-through, but we got to make sure that they know how to, get some vittles and some food so they can reopen up as soon as possible. Man,
don't do any. They got to
eat too.
Don't do any drive-bys either. Don't do any drive-throughs.
No drive-throughs or drive-bys.
Exactly right.
But but I can assure you this: the Glock 19 and the Sig Sauer ride with me.
Absolutely,
okay?
Man. That's my two best friends. Sig Sauer.
Sig Sauer.
Not Sig Hansen, of course, the captain of the Northwestern. Of course, catching crab up there in the Bering Sea, Harry, every year, so that you can go to Reg Lobster and have unlimited crab
Unlimited
legs.
king crabs.
Those guys are putting their lives on the line up there in the Bering Sea.
Damn right they are.
Damn right is right. All right, Sean, let's get into football because we got they're going to start. The rookies are reporting. They're all using the safety stuff, which is what we all agree on. We're going to have baseball. Before we get there, let's get to baseball because it opens tonight. You had a great tweet yesterday because we saw that the Houston Astros, obviously the marked team that's going to go out there and play in different ballparks. We saw a game against the Royals where 3 consecutive guys got plunked. And you made a good point on your Twitter feed about, the Astros may feed off this instead of them going out because they know everybody's going to be after them. They know that there's not going to be fans, and they know there's not going to be trash can banging in these other cities, except maybe the PA guy, the guy with the sound effect machine, will play like a trash can banging sound effect because that's what they're doing. They're pumping in noise in these arenas and stadiums.
Yeah. Tony, the crazy thing about it is and there's really been nothing positive other than we know how to rally around each other, I hope, even though our country's in a little bit of chaos with the COVID virus. But for the Astros, them specifically, just referring to it in a sports way.
Right.
The truth of the matter is that Verlander was hurt, remember, during spring, he was overcoming an injury to get himself healthy, and the COVID allowed him to rehab and get healthy. But with this trash can, with the fans, they were going to take abuse in every ballpark. We know that. American League, National League, it didn't matter. And they were going to have their metal tested. And quite frankly, if you make your own, if you screw it up, you got to sleep in the bed you made. And they messed up as other teams have. But I'm not justifying what they did and saying, well, then we got to, we should take great solace out of the fact that other teams did it too. The fact is they got caught, they made a mistake, and they are serving punishment. And had all the fans been in the stands, it would have been a different story because they would have – I'm talking about the questions after the game.
Yep.
It would have been a major distraction. So the truth is they got off when it comes to this fairly easy because they don't have to deal with that. The worst they got to deal with is some Zoom meeting or PR person or a media person asking them a question, right?
Yep.
Then they can blow it off. But I'll tell you one thing I know about this team, and I grew up a diehard Red Sox fan. I've lived in Houston, and I've grown to love this team. I think Dusty Baker's perfect for them because Dusty's been through everything at 70 years old when it comes to baseball, and he is not a micro guy. He'll kind of let them work their way through it. I can tell you this, though, Dusty won't tolerate, even though he's not going to say anything about it, Dusty won't tolerate. You're going to throw it their guys 4 times in a game if it's intentional and not an off-speed pitch with the bases loaded that accidentally hits. I assure you that they're not going to sit back and be anybody's bitch, if you know what I mean. They're not going to sit back and take it now.
Yeah, you're right, Sean. But if they do retaliate, which has always been the thing in baseball, and never
right.
really liked that rule.
Eye for an eye, right?
But were there any warnings? Because we had the game on, but I really couldn't see it. Were there any warnings issued after the 3 consecutive guys got plunked?
Against the Royals?
You know why there wasn't, Tony? Because the one to Altuve was an off-speed pitch with the bases packed.
Mm-hmm.
The next one, Bregman followed to the plate, and he got brushed on the. I mean, and when Altuve was stepping into it, and it hit him on the
elbow,
with the forearm, right? And then Bregman, they brushed him back, but the bases were still loaded. And so neither one were one of those third-inning pitchers struggling, back-to-back home runs. Let me hit Springer with some cheese up around the shoulder and the rib cage, right? Now, if that were the case, but there was no warning because I think you got to understand the context. You do, but I mean fans of what they get hit. If I'm hitting a guy and you want to, and the message is going to be sent at some point to the Astros, there's no question, is that if you're going to hit a guy, he's getting 97 in the rib cage or in the thigh. It ain't going to be an off-speed pitch with the bases loaded, whereas a pitcher, I suffer for it. So They haven't, but you will keep an eye on that. But back to the original point, Tone, is I think they've got like a guy like Bregman. This team does have swagger. Now, people are going to say, yeah, well, they cheated. I get that. You could say that and yell and scream, and fans can yell and scream. But some teams, you got 2 choices. You can be backed into a corner and be a coward about it or own it up, get out there, take care of it, go play. And if somebody's hitting you or you're getting booed, on social media – this team with Bregman, they've got enough attitude and they're good enough, Tony, that they may very well just feed off this since there's no fans in the stands that they can say, okay, we got something to prove too. We're going to prove to you that 2017 wasn't a fluke, that we're actually a good hitting team. I don't have any problem with people being pissed at the Astros. I get it, but I also know that sometimes when you're getting good, their lineup's stacked now, Tony. If you're going to pitch them, you better pitch them good because they can hit. They got Verlander and Greinke and McCullers at the top of the rotation. They're going to be hell to deal with. I wouldn't make them the favorites. That's the Yankees. That's the Dodgers. But I'm going to tell you, they're not going away because they're a good team. But, they made their bed. Now they're going to sleep in it. But they got a bonus by not having 50,000 in the stands on a daily basis, no question.
Yeah, no question about it. Now, who's their biggest challenger in the AL West, John? I mean, I know Trout is going to play. The Angels get Rendon. They got Ohtani. I mean, they've got a pretty good lineup. But I think the A's, are the second favorite in that division.
Yeah, speaking of Ohtani, just a real quick note. Tony, I know you've been out to L.A. many a times in the Chavez Ravine and the rest of it. During batting practice, this guy's a freak. He hit it above the right center field pavilion in right center on the roof there. Well, that's old school Wilver Stargell and like Mike Piazza territory. The guy is a freak. So he was in Dodger Stadium against the Dodgers doing that. And we know how good he is. But, yeah, I'm going to say it's Oakland because their line – when you look at Oakland's roster, and for a team that doesn't spend a lot of money, they've got a really good roster, and their pitching staff's outstanding. So they're going to hang around. And in a shortened season, guys, you know this, that you can't extend the lead like you do sometimes when you're so much better than somebody else. It's a 14-game lead going into September. That's going to be difficult to do. It's going to be in all these divisions for the most part, maybe not the Dodgers division because they're clearly the best. You're going to get a bunch of divisions like the National League Central bunched together. So it's the Oakland A's, for sure. Texas got better pitching. Getting Corey Kluber, they're better with their starting pitchers, meaning the Rangers. So they're going to hang around some. The question is, can they hit well enough? And then you got the Angels, as you mentioned. We know they're going to score runs. The question is, are they going to have to win 9-7 or 9-8? So it'll be closer. I got Oakland as a wild card team with the Astros winning the division. But go ahead and blink if you're the Astros, and Oakland will beat you. But if they stay healthy and the Astros stay healthy, I think they got a little bit too much hitting. But that's going to be within 2 or 3 games, I think. Those are the 2 teams in the division. But the Angels are going to cause people trouble because they got the best player in the world in Adin Rendon when he's healthy and the rib cage is healthy. They're going to drive in a lot of runs.
The great Sean Salisbury down there in Houston. And people are checking this out. Harry Mays is here and Miss Robin. They're checking you out and saying, is it cold in Houston? Because you got the jacket zipped up. You look like you're a little chilling there, man. What's going on?
No, it's warm. It's hot outside. And here's the thing, Tony and Harry. I keep my apartment. I live in a high-rise here because it's close to work. I keep it at 60 degrees at night and about 64 degrees during the day.
Wow.
So when it's outside, you automatically walk in. So
yeah.
I do this, and I'm doing it because I need it cold because it feels better. But when you walk around in a t-shirt, then it's hot. So I mean, it gets chilly. So I'm perfect right now at 62 degrees, 64 degrees. But I keep it that way. I sleep at 60 degrees all the time. So yeah, it's a little bit chilly in the summer. I'm not trying to hide anything.
No, that's fine, man. You know what?
Chest or my yolks or anything.
Now, do you have because in a situation, then you could be like the governor Andrew Cuomo. You can see your nipple studs in there.
My piercings.
Oh, yeah, your piercings.
Yeah, I just went and got my third. I just went and got my third one in each nipple. So I wanted to hide that from you guys. No, I keep it at 62 during 64 during the day, 60 at night, and it gets chilly in here. And I'm going to hide my. I'm down 31 pounds too, so I'm after it, brother. I am.
And as a former quarterback, you got to keep, and you run a quarterback camp, so you got to keep that shoulder cool. You can't get it all messed up. So instead of putting ice on it, and don't worry about this. Don't worry about the climate. Don't worry about using electricity. That's why God invented electricity, to use it. What are you supposed to do? Set it up to 78 to save the planet?
No.
You keep it as cool as you need it. That's what life is all about.
Tony, I got my built-in plunge pool right here, and I don't even have to get in a plunge pool by keeping it cold. My mom visited me when I had my house in Dallas, and I'd keep it that cold when my kids were growing up, and the kids say, well, Dad, are you hanging meat? But they got used to it. So my mom would come in, man, son, this running, and the windows would fog up because it'd be hot, and I'd leave it on all the time. And I don't mean that I don't wear this as a badge of honor, and this is a true damn story. I've told it on the air. I had that house, and it was like it was the biggest home I've ever owned, and it was rooms for everybody because I wanted to have the house where all the kids came and played and all their kids, friends, right? So my mom came and stayed with me after my father died because I wanted to make sure she was okay, and my sister. And she was there, and she goes, son, what is your electric bill? And it averaged, Tony, this is going to blow people's mind, and maybe that's why it's good I'm working and I can't retire yet, but I like it cold when I'm there, and even when I'm not, I forgot to set it down sometimes. So I go on a week vacation, come back. It averaged $2,200 a month for 6 years.
Let me give you a round of applause for that, man. Wow. I can see that meter going around.
Yeah.
The nuclear power plant down there, the meter's going around and around and around.
Yeah, that one in San Clemente or San Onofre, right? I'm humiliated and embarrassed, but I'm also a transparent guy. My mom said, son, your father he didn't earn that, because my dad was a blue collar guy, and so I never did it again. But I still hear, and I learned a lesson for about 3 years now. It's a smaller place, much smaller, but the air conditioning's down. But I'm ashamed that I spent that kind of money doing air. But I said, if I go outside, it's because I want to be hot. If I'm inside, I want to be cool, and I want to be able to layer if necessary. Hence the sweatshirt and all the money I'm apologizing for spending and embarrassing myself.
You're not embarrassing yourself. This is what it's all about, creature comforts. You're Sean, a creature, and you're comfortable.
Right. This is Miss Robin. I know that you're house hunting. May I make a recommendation? You should find a place that has solar panels.
Yeah. Now, Robin, nobody ever said I was smart when it came to this, okay, spending all this money. So, yes, you're probably right. So, yeah, you know what? I've made some dumb decisions in my life, and spending that kind of money on a house for air conditioning was one of them.
No,
but I got news for you. My ass didn't sweat when I was in the sheets at night. I promise you that.
Damn right, man. Damn right. And your house, and remember, people didn't come a knocking when your first house at USC was rocking. That's what I heard back in your USC days with the Trojans, man.
Come on. Yeah. Well, they're not. Why would they interrupt us for that we're in there?
Harry, we're going to get into football, Harry. Yeah. I know you want to talk football with Sean.
Well, yeah, I want to know what he thinks of the Washington football team.
Well, listen. Here's how I feel, and I get it. And we sometimes joke and get offended by things, and everybody's offended by everything. I get that. You know what? For me. And I read what Mark Rippon had a great. Did you see that, guys, today? Mark Rippon, one of the NFL guys. Maybe it was Schefter had talked about the Washington name going to stay just the Washington football team.
Right, until they find another name.
And Rip made a comment, Mark Rippon did, former Super Bowl MVP. Goes,
absolutely.
I'm not sure what that is. I'm paraphrasing. He said on one of his comments was, I just know that I wore it proud and was honored to be a member of the Washington Redskins and 3 Super Bowl rings. And so I think it goes both ways. For me, listen, when I played against him in all these years as a broadcaster, and I'm going to slip up and refer to him as the Redskins, as we all do sometimes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not Native American, obviously. I understand if some are offended, and I've talked to Native Americans that aren't offended, that they wore it proud too. Unless you do the deep dive into history, I always looked when I played against him, and Joe Gibbs was the coach, and all those great hogs up front, and the Russ Scrims, and the Rippons, and the Theismans, and the Art Monks. I always looked at it as, man, there were warriors. I looked at it as a proud name, but I'm not Native American. And delving deep into the history, if somebody's offended by it or a group of people are offended by it, then we have to obviously look at it. And I'm not sitting the fence on this. Listen, I look at the Washington Redskins and I think proud, prideful, glory, great franchise. Is there a part of me that bothers that we're getting rid of this? Yes, there is. But I also know, because I didn't poll the people who were, bothered by it. I've talked to some who are and aren't. And there's going to be a lot of people, not only fans and media, that don't like it. And if you're one of those that's offended by it, then you can voice your opinion too. I respect all the opinion. For me, I'm going to have always a hard time not calling them the Washington Redskins. And I wish they'd just put a name on it now.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not going to be the Redskins, I call them the Bravehearts, call them whatever it is you're going to call them. Let's give them a name and go. I understand both sides. But for me, I looked at it as a pride thing. But again, I'm not Native American, so those who get offended, they have a right to be offended, but I also have a right to say that I looked at it different, and that's the way I'll always feel about it. But I understand the name change, and I respect those who were offended by it.
Sean Salisbury. Now, what about Cleveland? I mean, the Indians, we got to get that straightened out here too now.
But I don't know. But in truth, some of the names, okay, are we going to change the name of the Fighting Irish?
Absolutely.
Like I said, I mean, are we going to change the name of the Trojans? Are we going to call ourselves the Magnums now because people are offended that somebody's unit's smaller and it's not the double extra large size of Magnum?
I've thought of that many times when I was out there in Southern California for 11 years, man.
I'm offended when the Beavers play the Trojans.
Ribbed for her comfort.
No, that was my favorite game.
Right.
Every year I'd say there's nothing better in the old Pac-12.
Pac-12,
and it was Pac-10 back then. When the Beavers and the Trojans get together. It's always a great time for all.
It is. And you know what? And I'll tell you what, it's a great place to fit it in and wear them out, right? When we beat Oregon State on a regular basis. I'm kidding. So I don't know where it ends, guys. I don't. I like I said, I thought it was prideful with the Redskins, but I get why they're not. Now, I don't know the Fighting Irish, the Indians. I do believe, didn't I read today, guys, that the Atlanta Braves said they're not changing their name?
They're not, but the Indians are looking into it.
Yeah, I know that Terry Francona had met with and the players and the rest of it. Listen, when it all is said and done, am I going to wake up a year and a half from now and am I going to be bothered? I'm probably going to still call them the Indians if the name changes the Braves, but I don't get easily offended, but I also am not one of those people that has reason to be offended because I wasn't Native American for the Redskins. If you're Native American and the Indians offends you. But what if you're Irish and the Fighting Irish? I just wonder where it ends. Hell, we're changing the name of cartoons. We can't carry guns if you're Elmer Fudd. I get it, but I don't have to like every single name change. So
exactly. That's why we're still Americans. By the way, Fairweather Marvin out there in Southern California, how about the USC Raw Dogs? I mean, that's a possible, if you want to go real.
I was thinking USC Barebacks.
Well, that's true. That's good, too. I mean, hey.
Bareback, Raw Dog, I'm in.
I'm sure all the what do you call them out there? Not the donors.
The boosters.
The boosters would like that.
Yeah.
Booster. They're going to have to change that name, too.
We're not allowed. I mean, we here in Houston now. Now get a load of this one, as you know. Here in Houston, the Realtors Association changed the name from master bedroom to not a great room. What do they call it? Master bedroom. They're calling it another name.
Yeah,
you can't call it master bedroom.
First room. It's like on the golf course. You have the first cut.
The biggest room.
You can't call it the rough at
Right.
Augusta National. It's the first cut. Right.
Yeah. So listen. if I was mad at everything everybody did, which would be easy, I'd never have a day of peace. So all the arguing and bitching and fighting and complaining. If somebody's offended by it, fine, go make your marketing dollars. If the Indians change or the Redskins, who are changing, to you know what, then brand a new name and let's roll. But I just don't know where it ends, where everybody's offended by everything. And am I allowed to walk across the street and not piss anybody off by just saying hi? I don't know. But
it never ends, Sean. It never ends.
It doesn't. And that's why I'm saying now that we've opened up, it's going to be everything. Everybody's offended by every sign, everything. So I don't know where it ends, Tony. And good thing I don't have to, and Harry, I don't have to design all this stuff and make all these changes. But I respect people's opinion. I just think that we look for stuff to bitch about and complain about. I do.
Now, Harry, we have the tweet from Mark Rippon to Adam Schefter that was a little earlier today at 1:27 on this Thursday afternoon.
Yes, it was in response to Adam Schefter posting that that fans can now purchase Washington football team merchandise directly from Fanatics in the NFL shop.
And it just says Washington football team established 1932.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Mark replied,
why not change the established date to 2020? Because I never played it down for the Washington football team, but I did play with dignity, honor, and pride for the 3-time world champion Washington Redskins.
And here's my thing, guys, Harry, Tony, and Robin. If, in fact, we are going to respect the opinion or the name change, and we do, then we don't have to pigeonhole everybody into wanting to. Mark Rippon's 100% entitled to his opinion for a guy who played under the name the Redskins and took pride in it and looked at it like we were talking about, that we don't have to shift the narrative and beat Mark Rippon over the head because he doesn't like the name change. That's the one thing we always want. If I disagree with you, Tony, which we haven't much over our lives, but if I do, that trying to beat you down to change your opinion, I don't know why we spend so much. It's cool, man. Just like I don't choose my friends. I got plenty of Democrat, Republican friends. I don't choose my friends by their politics. If you're my friend, you're my friend. Now, if you hurt my family, then I got a problem with it. It's just like your religion. I don't choose this color of your skin. I don't judge you're not my friend because you're black, white, Native American. You're my friend because you're my friend, and that's never going to change unless you do something so heinous to my family or something. So it's the same with this. We're pissed if somebody's not fitting the narrative, and Mark Rippon likes the Redskins name or liked playing for them. He wanted it changed. He gets it, but I think Rip also understands those that are offended. But I'm not Native American, so I sure as hell, if I haven't walked in your shoes, I'm not going to tell you what you should think. But I damn well know you're not going to change my opinion on what I think about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, period.
Well, every Irish guy I know likes to fight. He likes to drink.
Yeah.
And so, who am I to tell you? It's like the Italians. I call them greaseballs because I'm an Italian greaseball, and like Andrew Cuomo's a greaseball to me. I can say that because I'm Italian. And there's a lot of other Italian words that I use. I don't have to love people because they're Italian just because I'm an Italian American. I can, but see, a lot of people don't say anything about somebody that's their race or somebody that's another race or somebody that's their another nationality. You got to keep it. You got to keep it real, man.
Yeah, Tone, listen, man, and Ari, you guys and Robin. We're at a time. I've never seen any. I've been through a lot of things in my life. I've never seen anything like it. I'm talking about everything from COVID. 2020's been a bitch now.
Yeah.
You think about how the people it's affected, lives that have been lost, but it's like the stress too when people lose their jobs that I feel horrible for. We're fortunate we get to talk sports and still keep a job, even though there's no sports. Think about them and the stress levels and the anger levels and the mental problems people are going through, and then they take it out on Twitter. Twitter's not the way the world thinks. I was thinking about this the other day, man. That with the race relations, and I know social injustice and things, we got to get better. We got to listen more, and we've got to understand more. But I'll tell you the thing is that Twitter paints this picture. Social media paints this picture that everybody hates everybody. They do. You wake up in the morning, if you read Twitter, you're like, well, my day's ruined at 6 a.m. I mean, it sucks. And then you go to bed at night. You say, well, let me look at Twitter one last time. And then you're MF and everything because you say, oh, I got to go to bed thinking about this. The truth is, most people like each other far more than this picture that Twitter paints. And then somebody attacks somebody and they go back at him. I just don't know why we can't put respect on people's opinion. And we could disagree. And I also can't. People don't have a sense of humor anymore, Tony.
No.
You can call me some stupid name and I'll laugh about. People don't have any, a sense of humor over. We can banter, but it doesn't have to turn into a friggin' fist fight every single Mike Tyson beating on Evander Holyfield every single damn time that somebody disagrees with you. So I know I'm getting off the beaten path, but man, I just am so.
No, you were on the same wavelength, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I go on Twitter and mock people every day.
I'm all about love and having people succeed and be happy. I guess I just don't get it all growing up in sports and name changes, and I just wish that people. I wish that people were a little bit happier, and I know it's a stressful time, but damn. People are entitled. Mark Rippon is. People that want the name change, they're entitled to it, and they're entitled to have their opinion. That's all it is a friggin' opinion.
Exactly. Sean, that's why I love you, man, because you always come straight, so to speak.
I try to. Brother, you're kicking ass. You guys do a great job. People love it, and you are – I'm going down my list of guys on Twitter that speaking of which, that don't piss me off, but that I hang on every word because I'm laughing my ass off. There's Jesse Kelly – who'll throw some stuff out. Dan
Who's
Bongino,
in Houston, by the way, Jesse Kelly.
Yeah,
I go back.
Jesse's in my building.
Oh, yes? You tell that bum to respond to me every once in a while. I throw great stuff and he posts something, and then I come back with a great comeback, and I get like 2 likes. He posts something, it's 15,000 likes.
That's because you're throttled,
yes.
Tony. Hello.
Why am I throttled?
Don't you get it?
You tell Jesse Kelly if I
Tony.
come down there, I want to kick his ass.
Tony, you know what we're doing? We are muzzling you. We're keeping you down here in Houston, brother.
I'm sick and tired of the man from Texas keeping me down. I got hacked. Somebody hacked into all my accounts.
Well, hey, the rest of the world is pissed off at us because we opened up bars and restaurants. So, hell, you might as well just be another one from Philly that's mad at us, brother.
All right,
you guys are awesome, man. Thanks for having me on.
Let's
Anytime. I love you.
Love you, too. Sean Salisbury, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keeping it real.
Yeah.